Prologue. In the beginning. Before time began, before the first grain of sand fell upon the earth, before the first star pierced the infinite darkness, there was God. He was not bound by matter, nor limited by the ticking of clocks. He was pure being, pure love, pure truth. His presence filled the endless void with possibility, and his voice carried the seed of creation. In the silence of eternity, God spoke a single word, and light burst forth. From that moment, existence began. The heavens unfolded like a grand tapestry, stars dancing across the infinite sky. Galaxies swirled, oceans roared into being, mountains rose from the deep, and life began to stir. Every breath, every heartbeat, every whisper of wind carried the echo of the Creator. This is the story of God, not just as the ruler of the universe, but as the Father who walks beside humanity, who shapes destiny, and who whispers hope into the darkest nights. Chapter 1. The Garden and the Choice. The story of man began in a garden. It was a place of beauty beyond imagination. Trees heavy with fruit, rivers that sparkled like liquid crystal, and skies painted with colors unknown to us today. In that garden walked Adam and Eve, the first of humankind. They lived not as strangers, but as children of God, dwelling in perfect peace with creation itself. Yet, within paradise, God gave them freedom, the greatest gift and the greatest test, for love without choice is not love at all. When the serpent whispered lies, humanity chose disobedience, and so the garden was lost. Not because God abandoned them, but because sin built a wall between Creator and creation. But even as they stepped into a world of toil, pain, and death, God's love did not falter. His plan, like a hidden river beneath stone, continued to flow toward redemption. Chapter 2. The God of Promise. Through centuries, God revealed himself to humanity again and again. To Abraham, he was the God of promise, calling him to leave behind his homeland and become the father of nations. To Moses, he was the God of deliverance, splitting seas and thundering from the mountaintop with commandments carved in fire. To David, he was the God of kingship, shepherding a boy from the pastures into the throne room. And yet, despite miracles and covenants, humanity stumbled. Kings grew proud, nations fell to idols, and the voice of God was often ignored. Still, his plan did not end. He was preparing something greater, something eternal. Chapter 3. The Word became flesh. Then, in the fullness of time, God stepped into the world not as thunder nor fire, but as a child. Born in a humble stable, wrapped in swaddling cloth, laid in a manger of hay, this was the paradox of divine love. The infinite Creator became finite. The Almighty chose weakness. His name was Jesus. He grew, he taught, he healed. He touched lepers, embraced the outcasts, fed the hungry, and raised the dead. Through him, people saw the face of God, not as a distant ruler, but as a friend, a teacher, a shepherd who laid down his life for his sheep. And when the world turned against him, when nails pierced his hands and a crown of thorns pressed into his brow, it was not defeat, it was love made visible. On that cross, the weight of sin was lifted. In his resurrection, death was broken forever. Chapter 4. The God who walks with us. After Jesus rose, the story did not end. The Spirit of God was poured into the hearts of believers, a flame that could not be extinguished. From hidden rooms in Jerusalem to the farthest corners of the earth, the message spread. God is alive, God is with us, and God's love is for all. Through centuries of struggle, persecution, and doubt, His presence remained. Empires rose and fell, kingdoms fought and crumbled, yet the story of God endured. Even today, when the world is crowded with noise and chaos, His voice whispers to those who listen. Sometimes in the stillness of prayer, sometimes in the kindness of a stranger, sometimes in the breathtaking silence of a starry night. Chapter 5. The Struggle of Humanity. Yet humanity continues to wrestle with questions as old as time. Why does suffering exist if God is love? Why do wars rage if God is peace? Why does doubt creep into our hearts if God is truth? These questions are not new. Job asked them in the ashes of loss. The prophets cried them from lonely caves. Even Jesus himself, hanging on the cross, whispered, "My God, why have you forsaken me?" And yet, in the mystery of faith, the answer often comes not as an explanation, but as a presence. God does not always remove the storm, but He steps into the storm with us. Chapter 6. Stories of Faith. Across history, countless men and women have encountered God in their own journeys. A persecuted believer in Rome, who sang hymns as lions approached. A mother in a war-torn land who prayed over her children with tears and found strength she never thought she had. A scientist staring into the vastness of the cosmos, realizing that the order of creation points to a mind far beyond his own. Each story, though unique, becomes a thread in the larger tapestry of God's work. Together, they reveal a truth. God is not just the God of the past, but of the present. Not just the God of nations, but of every individual heart. Chapter 7. God in the Modern World. Now we live in an age of technology, speed, and constant change. Satellites orbit our skies, machines think with artificial intelligence, and humanity dreams of reaching other planets. Some wonder, in this modern age, is there still room for God? But the truth is, God is not confined by time or culture. Whether in the silence of a desert or the glow of a neon city, His presence remains. He is the God of the ancient scroll and the digital screen, the God of shepherds and astronauts alike. In every era, His call is the same: love me, love one another, and walk in truth. Chapter 8. The Return of the King. The story of God is not finished. Scripture speaks of a day when the heavens will open and the King will return, a day when every tear will be wiped away, every injustice made right, every shadow chased away by eternal light. We do not know the hour or the day, but we live in hope, for the God who began creation with a word will bring it to completion with glory. Until then, the story continues. In you, in me, in every soul who chooses faith, hope, and love. Epilogue, the eternal story. The story of God is not just history. It is not just religion. It is the heartbeat of existence. From the first spark of creation to the final dawn of eternity, His love remains the thread that weaves it all together. And as long as we breathe, we are part of that story. Your life, with all its struggles and joys, its triumphs and failures, is a chapter in the eternal book of God. So listen, believe, and walk forward with courage, for the story is not yet over.